when he got married, I don't know what kind of phase I was in life. I'm trying to remember what year that was, but I drank gin and tonic. Like gin and tonic.
No, my mom drinks that.
Are you serious? There you go. Exactly, right? Someone's mom drinks it.
Welcome everyone to episode 61 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Stephen. Hello, sir.
Hello, Anthony here.
Oh, hi, Anthony.
I was reminded of something that's upon us, which is wedding season.
Oh, love the wedding season. I'm actually going to go to one real soon.
Are you serious?
Yep, I haven't been to a wedding now in a couple years, because there's that time in your life, in your 20s.
Absolutely.
Late 20s, early 30s, where it seems like you're going to a wedding 1 or 2 times a year.
Oh, yeah.
For several years straight.
Oh, yeah. I think I had 1 year where I may have gone to 8 weddings, and that was the prime of wedding. I remember I was sick of it. I was like, can I please not get invited to another wedding? And then when it all went away, as you're talking about, once you get older and life starts, then it all started to come, back to where I was like, man, we don't get invited to weddings anymore. Then I was like, well, we're older now.
Yeah.
And it's just not part of it, right?
Yeah. So the last one we went to is our good friend. He finally got married.
Oh, finally? He went on a blast like that? Like he should have got married years ago. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So we went there and we had it's always best when you get to spend the night there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because then you don't have to worry about driving.
100%. And, do you pay attention? Like, are you one of those people? So I'm definitely one of those people that as soon as I get to the wedding, I mean, if it's like rehearsal, if it's family and stuff like that, I'm looking at what level of booze they have, right?
I do look at that. I look at see what's behind them or what they have on the counter or, the signature cocktail for that evening.
Absolutely, right? Because if it's something that, God bless the groom and bride and, you hope that they have some good stuff, but sometimes that signature cocktail is something you never heard of and you're like, I'm happy it's their night and everything, but I'm not going to be drinking that,
Right.
When you're looking at the bar package, how often do you pay attention to the bourbon? And I'm talking about historically, because I didn't always pay attention to the bourbon. It's something I probably started doing, like, I would say toward the mid to later 20s part of my life. Before that, it was kind of like whatever's there. It's, free booze. I'm going to drink, be merry, have a good time.
I think I wanted probably a good selection of, like rum and bourbon and probably some other things to like make mixed drinks.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't imagine now with the boom, like there's a bar package and I wonder if there's like a bourbon experience package that they can throw on top of there to have like, a couple bottles that I'm sure are like $30 that they're charging an arm and a leg for.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you ask for a bar package upgrade at any wedding, it's like, well, we're going to take away the black velvet. Why were you going to have black velvet in the first place? And it's like, if we upgrade that to Crown Royal, it's going to cost you another $8,000. And you're like, oh my God, not going to happen, right?
Canadians are attacking.
Oh yeah, it's crazy stuff. But thinking back on it and now kind of reimagining what that's like, because we do have a wedding to go to. So we're going to a wedding at the end of the summer. So in all the weddings that I've been to, especially those ones I'm talking about, once I started getting more into bourbon, the biggest thing that's got me into trouble is going to a wedding and not seeing a bottom shelf package. And so what I mean is I've been to one wedding where there was a bourbon. I can't remember even what it was called, but it wasn't like, it was something Heaven Hill probably distilled like in, mixed 18 times. And, it's like their luxury brand, it says like luxury whiskey, but it's probably $6 a bottle. Yeah. So when that happens, I'm not drinking any whiskey at a wedding. But if I go to a wedding and I see Maker's Mark or Woodford Reserve, that's premium, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so then the mindset is different. I'm like, well, I got the night taken care of because I can just sip Maker's and Woodford the rest of the night. But the problem is it's a wedding. You get carried away.
I don't think there's much sipping going on
at
a wedding because you only have like 2 hours.
Exactly.
And,
so
it's a lot of pounding.
I know, right? Because you're trying to get like, how sometimes weddings, they have the dinner service where the bar is shut off for an hour. You've been to those, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, so I got to drink 3 of these before dinner starts.
Or it's like you have one and I'm one that you get me going and I'm going to start serving everyone.
Oh yeah?
I'm going to go when I come back from the bar. I'm going to be carrying drinks with me.
So you're hosting now too.
I do the hosting when that gets kicked in.
Nice.
And so I can see that I've been in that situation where you go up to the bar, you see someone that you know, you do a quick drink.
You're like,
and then I got to go back to the table with more drinks.
That's the other thing, right? When you see somebody you know at a wedding, like family or friend or whatever, and you kind of catch each other at the right time, like, hey, have a shot. And you're like, okay, that didn't count as a drink. I just had a shot. And I'm back at my table.
Freebie.
It's a freebie. Yeah. So I think the reason why Woodford and Makers gets me in so much trouble is because I start in the same way you're talking about, just having one here or there, and the next thing you know, I lose track of what I'm doing. And I will say this, I'm putting it out there. There have been some weddings that I've been to where that's been the open bar choice, and I've had it on the rocks, but I've had one too many, and by the end of the night, I'm not feeling the best, if you know what I'm saying.
I've been there several times.
Yeah, I mean, putting yourself out there and saying something like that, you don't want people to judge you, but I hope that people listening to this show will know that don't fall for that trap door when you see what looks to be your premium whiskey, because at the end of the day, nothing wrong with Makers, nothing wrong with Woodford, but you can't drink and not expect to have a good outcome. They expect to have a good outcome. You won't have a good outcome, right?
Right. So it's weird that we do this, but then when I go, let's say to like a wedding function like that, I feel like bourbon's very heavy. Yeah. And so I find myself most time with like a rum and Coke and lime.
But even with the rum and Coke,
because I think that rum is like, it's lighter. And that caffeine keeps me going.
No, it definitely feels lighter, but I mean, all that sugar's got to be coating your stomach, right?
Well, it's okay.
You got the sweet tooth, so maybe you can handle it. Yeah. You're right, though. Like, I remember, I'm embarrassed to say this, but my oldest brother got married.
Was that embarrassing?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't embarrassing. He got married. No. When he got married, I don't know what kind of phase I was in life. I'm trying to remember what year that was, but I drank gin and tonic. Like gin and tonic.
No, my mom drinks that.
Are you serious? There you go. Exactly, right? Someone's mom drinks it. It reminds me of like women's perfume. And to this day, I still don't even know how I drank so much gin and tonic at that wedding and didn't end up in a bad state. Because I danced the night away, had a great time, selling my brother and sister. Yeah, burn it off. But I mean, gin and tonic, what was I thinking? My God, I'm mad at myself for that. I go back in time and kick my own butt. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not the fact that there's, a lot of amount of alcohol being drank at weddings. It's the fact that there's different amounts or different types of alcohol being, consumed there. So
that is for damn sure.
So do you know the old tale? How does that go again? Do you know that one?
Oh, you're talking about the beer before liquor, never sicker.
Yeah, and then
liquor before beer, in the clear.
Yeah, in the clear, have no fear. I've heard it said different ways, but do you generally think that works as a piece of advice for the listening audience out there?
I think I've been good both ways, and I've been in trouble both ways.
Yeah, I think so too. I tend to think that the only reason
for some reason in my head, I always felt the opposite was true for me.
Okay.
So, but I think I've had it both ways.
I think the liquor before beer in the clear or have no fear is a farce, because what happens is you drink too much liquor, and then when you have a beer in your hand, you're already drunk. So you're standing there holding it and you're not really sipping it. You're just sipping it once in a while. So you're drinking less over time. I think that's why that works.
Or the carbonation from the beer gets in there.
Maybe that's
it. Does you in.
Helps you out or does you in. Maybe that's it. Yeah. I don't know. I just know that I like all those old tales and things. But at the end of the day, I think that for me, when it comes to like, I'm okay as long as people aren't like, here, take this shot, drink this beer, do this, do that. Because if I got any of that kind of pressure and I'm not keeping track of things, that it gets out of control quickly,
And one thing before we move on is, remember, kids, drink your Pedialyte at the end of the night.
Oh yeah,
you gotta rehydrate before you pass out.
Definitely, and then in the morning, coconut water is. I gotta give a shout out to coconut water. I believe strongly in that. Go get some coconut water.
So we did have one shout out this week, Grant H in Georgia.
And Grant was saying some great things. He said he just found our podcast a couple weeks ago. It looks like he started a bourbon club, and he likes our conversation and dialogue, and we appreciate that so much. If we are ever in Georgia, we'll definitely come and visit you. So look out for that. We're going to contact you. You might have put that in a review thinking these guys are going to contact me, but we'll be down there. We'll see you.
So thank you for that, Grant. And if anyone else wants a shout out, remember, just leave us a review in Apple Podcast. The next time we record, we will give you a shout out. And for this week, we have a bottle of Larceny Barrel Proof.
We got the Larceny Barrel Proof Bourbon. This is C921, which is the 6th release of Larceny Barrel Proof. The distillery is Heaven Hill Distillery. The bottle date is 2021. ABV is 61.3. The proof is 122.6. This is non-age stated, but in their press release and on the back of the bottle, it says it's a 6 to 8-year-old bourbon. The mash bill is 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley, and the MSRP is $50.
Well, looking at the bottle, first off, I think it's got a pretty unique little characteristic about it, how the waist kind of tapers in on it.
Do you think they're trying to mimic the way a lock looks? Is that the way it looks to you? Or do you think it's just am I seeing the lock on there and thinking that's the way
I've
it
never
looks?
thought that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just know it looks different than a lot of bottles you've looked at, right?
But speaking of lock, there are a hell lot of keys on this thing.
Yes, keys everywhere.
Keys everywhere. If you're looking from the front and you can see the back part of the rear label, there's keys hidden within the bottle.
Yeah, it's kind of got like this iridescent look to it. So if you look through the side and you see it, you see like it's just glowing at you. It's like this is just screaming Ghostbusters Keymaster to me.
Or the Keymaster Matrix.
There you go. That's right. Either one.
Yeah.
They both work. But the colors on this thing are pretty eye-catching. It's almost like I'm not sure what kind of gold you would say this is. There's like a yellow, like a pale gold.
I would say it's more like a manila.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so remember, for those of you who haven't listened, I have partial color blindness. So when I'm looking at this stuff and I'm relying on sometimes with Michael when he's here and with Steven, they might have a better perspective on this because I am partially colorblind.
Yeah,
so.
it looks like the color from a manila folder.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's perfect. I like it. This thing's got like a really nice sturdy neck to it, and the cork is a solid real cork. And it, honestly, to me, and you can tell me what you think, but I'm so used to Heaven Hill products looking so plain that knowing that this is probably one of the brands that they spent a lot of time on, I think they did a really nice job with the packaging.
Yeah, I think the little indents on the glass give it a little bit different shape, and then the keys everywhere, and the kind of the elegant color profile they picked, the black and the manila.
Yeah,
It's not gold.
And have you seen their regular barrel proof? I mean, not regular barrel proof. Sorry, the regular Larceny bottle, because it almost looks like a reverse of this. It has
that's true.
predominantly like the vanilla folder color, and then like the accents are different.
It is lighter.
Like
I know it's lighter.
They went like back and forth. I mean, some people might even describe it as like a gray look, but it's pretty cool because there's continuity between the regular line and the barrel proof extension.
Another bottle variations that rely on color as their distinguishing feature.
Exactly right. So innovative is the bourbon industry. I mean, my God, they're just hitting out of the park.
Do you know any others that do that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've never seen it before. I mean, do you think that helps with cost? Have the same glass? But anyway, one thing I will say about this is the reason why it has all these keys on it, for those of you who don't know, and it's kind of on the back of the bottle, kind of press release and so forth, but John Fitzgerald was a bad man, right? And so even though John Fitzgerald is featured very small in the front of this, it says John E. Fitzgerald in tiny print, then it says Larceny real big. The reason why they chose to do this Larceny feature is because he was a federal agent. He was the only one, the federal treasury agent, that had the keys to the rickhouse. And so the legend and the, old historical fact is that he used to go visit the rickhouses with his set of keys. That's why there's so many keys. And then he would go in the middle of the night and thieve the bourbon. That's why it's Larceny. So, he'd go, let me try this key, jiggle, 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 right? And so after trying many keys, he'd go in there with his little thief and he'd steal from the barrels. And so he'd be like, oh, this barrel's light. It must be Old Fitz again. And so that's kind of what happened. And that's how this brand was born, So this guy stealing bourbon back in the day led to us drinking it now, apparently.
Did he also steal all the decanters for his other vertical?
Oh, you did? You talking about the Old Fitzgerald decanters?
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently he may have. You never know.
So going with the key themed here, there's another brand of bourbon that deals with keys.
Are you talking about Blade and Bow?
I am.
Oh.
And so, what's with the keys?
I don't know, and I'm actually kind of thinking in the back of my mind now because I've been paying a lot of attention recently to bourbon litigation. That's another thing I've been just reading about, and there's a couple of people in Kentucky that do a great job. There's a book called Bourbon Justice, if you get a chance to look at that, where they talk about a lot of the litigation and stuff like that. The author's name is escaping me. I think it's Brian Hara, maybe.
On Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that I'm surprised that Diageo, who has Blade and Bow, hasn't tried to sue Larceny, but I think actually they came after Larceny. I'm not sure what the order of is, but if there's anybody that has keys on the label now, can we not sue each other? Because distilleries are always trying to find reasons to sue each other.
Well, Diageo's went full bore on the keys because their whole gimmick is, collect all 5 keys.
Yes.
And have the keys hanging from the neck, and they're all numbered.
And you know what's interesting about that? Like, they have the Stitzel-Weller distillery, right? Which is the original place where Fitzgerald.
And they say it on the bottom. They say it on the label, too.
Exactly. So that's probably some legal mumbo jumbo that is. Maybe that's a lawsuit coming to court near you.
No doubt.
You never know.
Should we go for our first notes?
Let's do it.
This is, I will describe it. It is peacefully graceful.
Ooh, I like that. Peacefully graceful for a barrel proof. Not something I expect to hear.
It's peaceful because you don't get, bum rushed with ethanol.
I agree.
And it's graceful because I feel like we got a lot of fruits and other, nice light aromatic notes coming from it.
Well, since you said peaceful and graceful, I'm just going to say it's a bouquet. It's going to be like a bouquet of you're right. It's a very dark fruit.
Yeah.
But also very heavy on that chocolate and what'd you say? What's it? Brown sugar? Yeah, brown sugar for sure.
Molasses.
Mm-hmm. So I can't really pick out what is going on, but I do know that this is rich, and it appears to the nose to be what should be a pretty complex and flavorful bourbon. But we'll see. I mean, I guess.
You read in the beginning the mash bill. This is a wheater.
Yes, sir.
Okay, a barrel proof wheater.
Yeah.
When I first started drinking bourbon whiskey, I started with Makers, as a lot of people do, and that's a wheater.
Yeah.
And I guess from that introduction to it, you just kind of think there's a lot of wheaters out there.
Yeah.
But as we've done this and as I've grown, come to find out there's not that many wheaters out there. And so I think that's why when a wheater comes out, they kind of make a big deal about it. Because a lot of the quote bourbons that everyone kind of likes are low rise.
Yep.
And so, I mean, just thinking about the major players, there's really not that many mash bills out there that have wheat in it.
Absolutely, and that's a really good point that you make as we're going to be tasting this one, because if you think about the wheaters that are on the market, of course, the most significant thing that should jump out to you is the fact that Pappy Van Winkle is a wheated bourbon. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, the notoriety and fame that thing carries, but Buffalo Trace from the same mash bill puts Weller out. And, of course, like you mentioned, Maker's Mark, when you first started drinking, a lot of people that drank Maker's and drank it for a long time, some people probably didn't even know it was a wheater.
Right.
But if you are interested in the sort of evolution of that, I recommend looking at a couple of write-ups, but a really quick read was something that Chuck Cowdery did. He's a bourbon whiskey writer, has been for years, talking about the lineage of Old Fitz, Weller, and Maker's Mark and how they're all related. So even though we can't say right now the way they're being produced today has any relationship to the past, he does a really good job of talking about why that's important, but also insignificant, but also interesting and curious.
Right.
If you're interested
the history
in
of it.
Yeah, the history of it, because it all kind of is tied back to the same thing, which is really the Weller distillery and Weller and Van Winkles and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about the major players, I mean, Barton, theirs is a low rye.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I didn't realize Blanton's was a low rye.
Yeah. Actually, is Blanton's a low rye or high rye? I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, Blanton's might be a high rye, but they have the low rye mash bill.
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean, Four Roses is obviously rye.
Yeah. They got variations of rye content. Yeah. A lot of rye. Yeah.
So, I mean, just the major players there, most of them deal with rye versus wheat. So it might have just been ignorance on my part when I first started, but the two most important days of your working career, your first day and your last day at the job, right?
Yeah, right.
So my first introduction to bourbon was a weeder.
There you go.
And so I'm thinking, la la la. You know?
There you go. Exactly. I mean, even when you think about some of these, there's a lot of companies putting out wheat whiskey too, which gets even more confusing because that's a higher wheat content. Maybe it doesn't have as much corn in it, but it's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, should we go for first taste?
Sure. I'm just going to jump right in and say that this is really tasty. I mean, so
surprisingly, because I think my first experience with Larceny, it was, I'm gonna say maybe like half dozen years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if the time frame equals out, but it was several years ago.
Yeah,
and I just had the standard bottle,
yeah,
and I wasn't too excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people that drink regular Larceny religiously, and I'm not one of those people. And so I agree with you 100% that I'm surprised by this. And then the other thing I'll throw in here is a little bit of a monkey wrench is I don't know how this happened or why this happened, and nobody ever explained it to me. But around 2019, I was in a liquor barn, and they had a single barrel pick of Larceny Barrel Proof.
Wow.
And that was a year previous to when this was actually released. So I don't know if because of course Liquor Barn here is very connected with the distilleries. They're an institution. They've been around forever. So they got to pick a barrel of this, and it had like the serial number of the barrel. I think it was like 6.5-year-old stuff, and it was about 120 proof, but I didn't like it all that much. I'll just go on record as saying that. I thought it was great, but I thought that like the whole flavor was like overly like cola-y and like almost like a weird like almost like cream soda or root beer or something. It just didn't taste right. And on top of it, the day that I bought it, when I was in Liquor Barn, I asked the guy to get one out of the case for me because it was behind glass. And the first one he pulled out of the case, he broke. It shattered everywhere.
Oh,
I felt so bad. And I mean, but anyway, like I bought it, and then I think I may have tasted one of their release, and I didn't really like either of them very much. But this one I'm tasting right now, I'm liking a lot. I'm getting like a lot of dark fruit. The stuff that we got on the palate, like there's a little bit of peanut butter, there's some chocolate, there's maybe some raspberry, maybe a little bit of like, just some amazing kind of push-pull going on here. I feel like I'm eating like a chocolate dessert that has accented fruit notes. I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah, I think to add to yours, I'm getting, a little bit of the caramel, butterscotch, and a little bit touch of maple in there.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think honestly, this is one of those things where while we're recording, we're going by what we're thinking, what we're hitting, but I feel like this one's even more complex that if you sit with it over the course of a night, you're going to pick up on other stuff that you may not have thought about just because I think there's a lot to unpack here.
I agree.
What do you think about the finish?
Well, I feel like it's kind of short, not very long.
Yeah, it's a short finish. It's not like
no real hug or anything.
Yeah, all the flavor for this one seems to be up front. Yeah. Sometimes we drink these and they like just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. So would you pass, try, or buy on the Larceny Barrel Proof?
This is going to be long-winded.
Really?
But I'm going to try to make it short. Can I try to make it short? Have I ever told a short story?
I think once.
One time. Hey, my nickname used to be Mother Goose back in the day because of my stories. Yeah, my friends would call me Mother Goose. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Watch out. Next intro is going to be Mother Goose.
There you go. Yeah. We are your hosts, Michael, Mother Goose, and Steven. There you go. Yeah, right. I hated this, and I'm just being very honest and candid. When I had that bottle from Liquor Barn and when I had the first release, which was the first of 2020, I did not like this at all. I thought, I'll never buy Larceny Barrel Proof to drink.
I'm going to agree with that. So carry on.
That's the end of it. That's what I thought. So if I keep that in mind, and I have to keep it in mind because here's the thing. We're trying a C921, which is the 6th release.
Does this come out 3 times a year?
Comes out 3 times a year, just like the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Right. So I've had so many, I would say, tastes of bad versions of this that I had no high expectations. We fresh cracked this tonight, and I thought to myself, this is going to be me saying I would pass. But because the past was so tumultuous and because tonight is so delightful, I'm going to average the 2 and say it would be a try. If everything they put out is like C921 from now on, I'm a buy. But realizing there's going to be variations in the batches, I'm going to be a try.
So you're going to be a try for $50.
Yeah, and I guess when I heard you say $50, I'm thinking to myself, like, there's some stuff we tried that is more expensive that I said I'd be a buy on or whatever. So I guess I wasn't factoring into price there, but I'm going to be a try. I think I'm going to be a try.
Okay, I agree with your first statement about I wanted nothing to do with this brand ever again after the first sip several years ago. But like you, I've been pleasantly surprised with tonight's bottle. And I think for the dollar amount and the proof, I will have to be buy.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a very wintry, I feel like it's a very wintry bourbon.
I think so too. I mean,
just the dark fruits. And even though I said bouquet, we kind of said bouquet, which thinks of summer. I think it just feels heavier.
Yeah.
And so to me, in my mind, I'm thinking it's more of a winter bourbon. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. And I was going to say, not going to be something that you want to drink at, like, even at 122 proof, which is a very high proof, it really drinks like in a very well-rounded way.
Yeah.
But it does smack of a colder months kind of beverage, not something that you want to be cracking in July.
I wish the finish was longer. That's probably the only knock on it.
Yeah. What's kind of weird to me about that is the fact that it doesn't have the finish because it has such a complex nose and palate that it's kind of weird that the finish sort of falls off.
Yeah.
And
quickly too.
Yeah. And I'm left thinking about other Heaven Hill products. We've tried a lot, haven't we?
We have.
Do you remember all the ones we've tried?
No, I don't. I wish I had a good memory like that.
Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Elijah Craig Small Batch, JTS Brown, Henry McKenna. We had the Heaven Hill Showdown episode. Remember that, where we talked about the 6-year?
Oh, yeah, the label.
And the bottle and bond and the regular, and also the new 7-year bottle and bond. And we've also had Evan Williams Single Barrel. So I would say maybe percentage-wise, we've tasted a lot of Heaven Hill stuff on this podcast. And I think this might be a standout. This might be one of the best that we've tasted.
I would have to, maybe, I don't know if I agree with that, but for some reason I feel like the Elijah Craig might have been a little bit better, but it's also a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Product stacked. I really enjoy the Elijah Craig Small Batch and their barrel proof.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I can say the same thing for this product.
Yeah, you know what? I guess I got a little bit carried away there when I was going like, this might be the best thing I ever tasted because I just was in the moment there. But yeah, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is hard to go like against because it's a 12-year-old non-chill filter, age-stated bourbon.
Words.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, small batch is great too. So, and I'm not really a person that's going to say, yeah, I got that Larceny regular 92 proof one sitting on the shelf.
Woo-hoo.
It's not going to be happening. So no. I'd rather drink anything else. Well, weeded wise, I'd probably have Makers or their Special Reserve over the regular Larceny. No offense there.
Some other goose. I heard an egg cracked online this past month.
It's Mother Goose. See, now that I've put that out there, I mean, Mother Goose forevermore. But yes, so the one significant thing that happened here locally that I guess we're kind of in memoriam. We're having a drink in memoriam tonight.
Salute.
But yes, one of the local groups. So we have a local group here called Lexington Bourbon, and that group had 8,500 members, and it was a enthusiast page. There was a lot of stuff going on in that group, and it really connected a lot of people here into bluegrass and beyond. And it got shut down by Facebook. Those of you out there listening know the pain of local groups getting shut down or even national. But I mean, some of the national groups at their height might have had 60 to 80,000 people, and even some of the biggest ones now have 17 to 30,000 people. So we had a local group that had 8,500 members
in just little old Kentucky.
I know there were national people in there too, but that thing got the axe. And I know some people that were the administrators of that group, and they fought the good fight for a long time, but it's no more. And now we're left to wonder what's next as Facebook aggressively moves to shut down everything that connects us in this lovely hobby that we enjoy.
Yeah, that's too bad. I hate to see a center point that everyone can connect and just be shut down.
Exactly. Yeah. And then where will you see me trolling at now late night?
I'm sure there'll be some bridge you'll come out under.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, there's another local group. I won't say which one it is, but even tonight there was a guy in there posting a bunch of empty bottles. He said he posted a video of he like went down the line on his video, and he had like probably I would say an average of like maybe 50 to 60 empty bottles just sitting on a shelf, and he said, anybody wants these, $80.
All of them.
Yeah, $80 for all of them. So, naturally I took the bait and started posting things like, I wonder if we can refill these. And then I was like, I need to work on my Blanton's re-waxing game. And of course, I'm kidding completely 100%. But I'm having fun at the expense of other people, because I'm just thinking to myself, like, don't buy empty bottles. Just if you have empty bottles, drill holes in them, throw them in your recycle bin, but don't sell empty bottles to anyone. And so even though I'm making jokes about our local market here, that's another local group where some yahoo is trying to sell empty bottles.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, please let us know your thoughts on Spot in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.